Welcome back to the Bounty Brothers. I'm Derek.
I'm Robert.
And we are the Bounty Brothers. So, we're going to be talking about during this show all these crazy cases from my brother who was a bounty hunter for 13 years. He was also in the military for 8 years. So, that's why he has the Army. Army strong. And to give a shout out to all of our veterans out there. He also works with veterans day in, day out. And we're going to talk about some of these cases. Some of these cases, I've never even heard the full story. So this is going to be news to me. So we are the Bounty Brothers. Let's do it. So Robert, tell me about that case about the 5th Floor jumper.
Okay, all right. And feel free to interrupt me if that's needed, man, because,
All right, so what I was talking about... No, just kidding.
Yeah, I really get off track. I do. I start talking about all type of crazy stuff. So, all right. So, the fifth floor jumper. So, this day, one day...
Wait. Stop. Maybe people don't always know. What is a bounty hunter?
All right.
What was the job of it? And tell me, then let's get to the 5th floor. So,
okay, so a bounty hunter is a guy or gal, it could be either, that you have two levels. So you have the bonds person, and you actually have the fugitive recovery agent. Okay. So you're actually not called a bounty hunter. You're actually called a fugitive recovery agent.
Okay.
So, and you're bonded by the license of the Department of Insurance. Okay. So there aren't many licensed bounty hunters. Not all states have licensed bounty hunters. Indiana and Texas. Texas started it. We actually have it now. But you get more clout when you're a licensed bounty hunter. So a bounty hunter is a person who can go after anyone. So if you skipped bond...
So you get arrested.
Right.
They give you bail.
Right.
And then bail is you're supposed to pay money so that it ensures that you come back to court.
Right.
But if you don't show up to court...
So the fugitive agent, all we do is go after people. We don't bomb people out. We don't do none of that. We just go after you. And so we'll follow you to California if that means we're going to get our money.
Legalized stalkers.
Yeah, pretty much. We're legalized stalkers. Most of us
hunt
are pretty
you
crazy.
Down for the sole purpose of taking you back to jail. Because if you were rightfully arrested, you need to stand in court. So it's all to show back up in court so you can defend yourself for the law. We believe in the law. We believe that justice shall prevail. And if you kind of skirt that process, a bounty hunter will come after you. So in this particular day, they were going after a guy who was somehow made it to the 5th floor.
Right. So this one was a little crazy. So what happened was I think it was my brother's case. It was my brother's case. So when you go out as bounty hunters, you go out most of the time in teams. You hardly ever go out by yourself. So in this case, I think it was my brother's case.
We have four brothers. There's 4 of us.
Yeah.
So our brother Fred.
Yeah.
Who was the oldest of us.
Oldest brother.
And he was actually a bounty hunter before Robert.
Right.
And brought Robert on, and he had a case.
Right. He had a case. So it was this young kid.
Let's call him Ray.
Yeah. I don't even know that. Young kid, Rayness. Okay. And he was like 20 or 21 years old. And so it was in Meridian Street. If you know anything about Indianapolis, Meridian Street it was closer to, I think, 30th Street. I can't remember. It was like a 8 or 9 story building. Mm-hmm. So, we staged, which is the most fun part about bounty hunting, right? Staging. We staged with all the other bounty hunters at a gas station. And when we staged, what we did was we just said, okay, here's the warrant. We showed the warrant to everybody. This is the guy we're looking for. My brother had already set it up that we would get the key to the apartment. The kid was already on the 5th floor in this apartment. Now, the apartment itself was about, oh my goodness. It was, if you think of a studio apartment, cut that in half. It was ridiculously small. So we went up to the. We took the elevator up to the. It was like 12 of us, like 12 bounty hunters, and we took the elevator up to the 12th floor. To the 5th floor. Sorry. And then got off. We already got the key, and so what happened was we ended up. My brother was like, "Well, we're gonna open the door." So I took my weapon out, and I hardly ever take my weapon out because I'm usually the first person in. Me and my brother, we usually the first people in. We usually are the ones who tackle you. So at this point, we knew the guy was wanted for drugs. So we had to be really, really careful. So we ended up, my brother opened the door. I had my weapon on the guy. And you saw, so the justice set it up. As soon as you open the door, you see kitchen. As soon as you see, if you look, pan to the left, like we were pan to the left, you saw the living room, which was about 8 by 6. It was small as hell. And so we were just like, okay. The guy looked at us, and he said, hey, we said, dude, bring your ass to us. And he said,
we had whole body, not just his ass. That's kind of hard.
So we had
I can see how he was confused.
Yeah, he was confused a little bit. So we had a weapon on. We said, come to us, get on the ground and crawl to us. And the guy looked at us and looked down. We didn't know what he was looking at. We thought he was looking at drugs. And then he looked at us and he looked down. And he looked at us again. We was like, get your ass on the ground and crawl to us. Because we didn't know if there was anyone else in the apartment. Because there was a wall right in front of us. I mean, just kind of corner to us. Because we only saw half of him. This guy all of a sudden just shot left. And then I ran in. And then as soon as I ran in, the guy just jumped out the window. The craziest thing about it, he was halfway out the window. I had the gun in my right hand. I grabbed him by his pants. He was halfway out the window, and we started pulling him back in. And he just kept trying to crawl out the window. We had a guy down on the floor, on the ground, and he just kept saying, this guy's trying to pull himself out the window. He was screaming it. So we were just like, dude, get this guy back in here. Because if he kills himself, the only thing you're going to hear on the news is bounty hunters throw a guy out of the window.
Right.
That's all you're going to hear. They're not going to know the entire story. That's all you're going to hear. So we pull him back in. So he had this glass coffee table. We pull him back in, get him handcuffed, sit him down. So we sit the guy down, and then so we're looking for all of the, make sure that there aren't any weapons in there aren't any drugs in there, and we were going to take everything to the police. That's another story after this, so I'll tell you that. So this guy, so we were wondering why he kept looking up and down. There was a gun sitting right there. If the guy really wanted to kill himself, all he had to do was touch that gun.
Right.
Because I was going to shoot him. Me and my brother, we were going to shoot him. Because we were just like, hey, you or me? I'm going home. That's how I am. I'm going to go home. So, but he didn't. So we picked the gun up. We secured the weapon. We take the bullets out, everything, you know. And then we keep searching the apartment. It was a really, really small apartment, so there really wasn't much searching. This fool decides to get up and try to jump out the window again with his hands handcuffed behind his back. So he halfway out the window, we grab him again, pull him in, he's still fighting, and we drop him. And he falls right on that glass
drop him inside
the house. On a glass coffee table. Shatters the glass. There's a glass all here. He didn't have a shirt on. By the way, he didn't have a shirt on. So there's a glass all in front of him, all on his legs, in his skin. So we have to pluck the glass out of it. So we pluck out the glass out of him. Then we hog tie him. Then we we have him his hands behind his back and his feet behind his back, and we just carried him out just like that. We could have broke his shoulders easily, but we carried him all the way down on the elevator. We laid him on the floor of the elevator. So, if you know anything about this apartment building, there was probably pee on the elevator. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. So we ended up getting them down, taking them downstairs, placing them inside the car. We have the gun with us, so we take them down to jail. And the whole time I'm talking to the kid, I was just like, dude, why would you want to kill yourself?
Right.
Like over some petty drug little charge. He was just like, man, I don't know. Thank you for not letting me kill myself. We was like, okay. Hopefully you got it this time. And then so the guy, we get him down to jail. And back then, the jail for was under the city county building. So we used to drive him down there, and we dropped him off. We took him inside the jail and stuff like that. So as we were leaving, going upstairs to try to take this weapon back, take it and drop it off to somebody in the property room or whatever, try to take it back, we see the guy walking out. I'm like, really? All this stuff, I really want to say what I want to say, but all this stuff that we just went through, this guy started, he was walking out, and we were like, what happened? Did you escape or something? He was like, no, they OR'd me.
He was white. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He was a brown skin like me. But he was OR'd me on recognizance. That means they let you out. Basically, the charge is not strong enough to basically keep you in there. It's not worth it. So they let the guy walk out. The guy was going to kill himself over a nothing charge.
Well, let's get serious for a second, because jail is a serious place, and us black and brown people don't like that institution, and we're the ones that go in there the most. So there's something about that place that we shouldn't go. And there's one side of the argument that says we shouldn't be doing whatever
the crap
it is
that we're doing.
Right, but there's also a school of thought that says that sometimes we are disproportionately targeted. So what do you think is in a young man's mentality that says, I'd rather die than go to jail? And I'm saying this after some recent events happened in our city, where a young man that didn't want to go to jail, and I don't think it was his intention to lose his life, but he ended up losing his life at the hands of law enforcement. And a bounty hunter is, in a way, a law enforcement agent. What do you think about these young cats that would rather lose their life or be reckless with their life than go to jail or face the consequences of some of their actions?
We can really get deep into this because some of this stuff just annoys me. My wife always tells me, you always see both sides of every story, and I try to look at both sides of every portion of the story. And some of these kids hate themselves more than they hate anything else. When you're willing to throw your life away, go to jail, say, okay, I don't give a damn about this person's life, I'm going to take this from somebody else, I'm going to take somebody else's life, you're basically saying you don't care about your life. So if you don't care about your life, then you're going to go try to take somebody else's life. But some of these guys just don't have any guidance, which is our other brother, and Derek, which Derek is going to tell you about himself. At some point, he's going to tell you about himself, because Derek is, he's a teacher. He changes lives every day. I'm
actually a damn good teacher. Well, no, I'm just kidding.
I don't know nothing about that. But anyway, most of these kids don't have strong male figures in their life. Period. The only figure that they have in their life are guys that don't mean them any good. Right. Pretty much.
And Robert's had a tumultuous sort of childhood that he could have been one of those kids, right?
Oh yeah, so easily.
I think it's important for law enforcement, bounty hunters, police officers, those people, judges, prosecutors, to represent the community in which they're prosecuting or enforcing the law with. Otherwise, it'd be a nice, because for me, as you're telling that story, I can imagine you and Fred just thinking about yourselves. Like, this kid, whatever's going on in his life is not worth us taking or him taking his own life. Go face the consequences. And even if the worst happens, at least you can live, and your mother can live to see another day. So I appreciate that, and that's another way. We're not going to always be serious on this show, but I think it's a very serious thing when you have the ability to stare somebody down the barrel of a gun, and have to make that decision to take his life. And I'm glad in that situation, the fifth floor jumper his life. I don't know where he is or who his name is. If you're out there, Ray. If the story sounds familiar to you, you ever been to Meridian in Indianapolis some time ago, hit us up, and let us know, how your life is. But if you have any young men out there that can use some guidance, Robert, he doesn't look like it, but he's in the 6th decade of life. So he was born. You've seen 6 decades.
Yeah,
and that's crazy. And
I'm old. That's what he's trying to say. I'm old.
He's older than me, even though I got this beard game going, looking good. But I'm sure over the years, some of that evolution of what you learn, takes life experiences, changes you.
I grew up,
right,
and sometimes we as older people, we try to instill that in other people. One thing I used to do after I would arrest any young person, I would always talk to them. Mm-hmm. And like, why the hell would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Unfortunately, I've always said this, life is marketing. And one of the greatest marketing campaigns was no snitching. No snitching. Which is fine. Well, I mean, we teach our kids not to do that and stuff like that. But look here. If my life or your life, my life wins over. One thing we have to start doing as men, and I can only talk as men, be in each other's lives, be in our kids' lives. Period. Teach them the right way to go, because most of the time those gangbangers and people like that, I know some people will probably gangbang. You're gonna watch this show. Most of those guys don't want their child to go into what they did. So if you don't want your child to do it,
then you don't do it.
You shouldn't do it. Period. Now I understand we have to provide for our children, and sometimes it's hard. I've done a lot of crazy things I didn't want to do growing up. So hopefully this show can actually help you, somebody, bring some light to somebody's day. Like, okay, here's 5-10 minutes of fun time. Right. And if there's anything on here that we talk about that can change your life and make you turn something around, because you're going to talk about things I can't stand. I really can't stand about certain things, and especially people that I arrest, and you're going to hear about that. But maybe something we can help you with.
So look in the comments. There's going to be some links to some resources for some mentoring programs and opportunities to get involved. There's even father programs that you can get involved. But be a father to your child. Be a father to somebody else's child. And maybe we can get through this. And maybe, we can put these bounty hunters out of business. So they want to be arresting us.
Yeah.
So
not my money anymore.
We are the Bounty Brothers. I'm Derek.
I'm Robert.
And Bounty Brothers out.
Peace. All right. That was good.